Noah wakes up before the sun does. His alarm buzzes like an anxious insect, and he lies there for a moment staring at the ceiling. It's quiet, but not the peaceful kind of quiet. It's the kind that feels heavy, the kind that makes you wonder if getting out of bed is an achievement in itself. For Noah, mornings don't feel like a beginning anymore. They feel like a continuation. Another day pressed down by the same invisible weight he carried yesterday. He scrolls his phone almost without thinking. News headlines, tragic stories, celebrity gossip, advertisements for things he doesn't need. And in the middle of all that noise, he feels a strange hollowness, as though everyone else is out there living, while he is just existing. And he asks himself the question so many of us silently whisper in the privacy of our minds. Why is just existing so hard? Why is just existing so hard? This question isn't new, but in today's world, it feels louder, more urgent. Noah isn't unique. He's a mirror, a reflection of millions who wake up each day, feeling tired before the day has even started. People who feel like life has become a treadmill that never stops, no matter how hard you run. But why is this happening? Why does a time that has more comfort, more technology, and more opportunity than any era in history feel like it's crushing us? Let's look at the truth. Over the last 2 decades, rates of anxiety and depression have more than doubled worldwide, according to the World Health Organization. Think about that. Even as medicine has advanced, as apps for mindfulness have exploded, as mental health awareness campaigns have become mainstream, the actual lived reality for many people is that life feels heavier, not lighter. It raises the unsettling possibility that the struggle isn't just inside of us, but also outside, woven into the very fabric of the world we now live in. Noah's struggle is not simply Noah's fault, and maybe yours isn't either. Think about how different the world was for our grandparents. Life was hard, yes, filled with physical labor, wars, scarcity, and survival challenges. But there was a kind of clarity about what life was. You worked, you rested, you built families. You lived within a rhythm that was slower, more tangible. Now, we live in a world where our struggles aren't about sheer survival, but about something more invisible. Overstimulation, information overload, the endless comparisons of social media, the creeping fear of falling behind in a race that no one fully understands. This is why Noah feels exhausted before the day even begins. Because unlike hunger or cold, which the body understands, the mind doesn't know what to do with the constant flood of fragmented information and invisible expectations. And here's the fact: the average person today processes more information in 24 hours than someone in the Middle Ages might have processed in their entire lifetime. Our nervous systems, ancient as they are, were never designed for this. They were built for survival in forests and fields, not for endlessly scrolling through bad news, endless products, and curated highlight reels of other people's lives. So, no wonder existing feels heavy. For Noah, the day drags on. Work meetings where his camera is on but his soul feels off. The pressure to perform, not just at work, but online, socially, even privately. He watches his own life like a spectator sometimes, like someone watching a movie they're not fully invested in. And by evening, when he returns home, there's that emptiness again. What makes this so difficult is that modern life has created a strange paradox. On paper, we have so much. We have technology that saves us time, conveniences that generations before us couldn't dream of, and more choices than ever. Yet research consistently shows that too many choices can actually increase stress, not decrease it. Psychologists call it the paradox of choice. When everything is available, nothing feels enough. And so, Noah, like so many of us, drowns not in scarcity, but in abundance. He has food, he has shelter, he even has entertainment at his fingertips every second of the day. But what he doesn't have is peace, because peace doesn't come from abundance. It comes from alignment, from meaning, from feeling like you're not just surviving another day, but actually living it. Here's another fact that might help explain why Noah feels this way. According to the American Psychological Association, loneliness rates have skyrocketed in the past few decades. Even though we are more connected than ever through technology, more and more people report feeling isolated, unseen, and unheard. Loneliness doesn't just hurt emotionally. It has been linked to higher risks of heart disease, weakened immunity, and even shorter life expectancy. In other words, loneliness itself can be deadly. This matters because loneliness isn't just about being alone. You can be in a crowded city, surrounded by thousands of people, and still feel completely invisible. You can have hundreds of followers online and still feel profoundly disconnected. This is Noah's silent reality. And maybe, in some ways, it's yours too. So, why is just existing so hard? Because existence today often feels like performance. You are not just living. You are presenting, comparing, optimizing. Your body is here, but your mind is scattered across endless platforms, endless headlines, endless worries about the future. And in all this noise, the simple act of breathing, of being, feels like it's no longer enough. But here's something important. Noah's heaviness isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of humanity. His exhaustion is not proof that he is broken, but proof that he is responding, as any human would, to a system that overwhelms the mind and drains the soul. You see, humans were not built for constant speed. Nature has seasons. Even the earth rests. But in our modern culture, rest feels like a luxury. Productivity has become the religion of our time. We measure our worth not by how deeply we love or how fully we live, but by how much we produce. And under that pressure, even existing feels like failing. Noah goes to bed that night, lying in the same stillness as the morning. Another day done, another day survived, and that question still echoes softly in his chest. Why does it feel so hard to just exist? The truth is, Noah is not weak. He is not lazy. He is not defective. He is simply alive in a world that has made existing a complicated, heavy task. And that realization, painful as it is, carries with it a seed of hope. Because if the problem is bigger than him, then maybe the solution is too. And that's where we begin. Because the story of Noah is not just his story. It is the story of our entire generation. A generation trying to breathe inside a storm of noise, expectation, and invisible pressures. Noah is not just one man. He is a symbol. His exhaustion, his quiet despair, and his restless searching are shared by millions. It is not weakness. It is not failure. It is the cost of being human in a world that has forgotten what being human really means. So let's step back and ask again, why does existing feel so heavy? One answer lies in the systems that surround us, the economic structure, the technology we live with, the cultural narratives we inherit. All of them shape the landscape of our inner lives. And right now, that landscape is stormy. Take technology. We celebrate it, and rightly so. It has connected people across continents, allowed medicine to advance, and created opportunities unimaginable a century ago. But it has also reprogrammed our nervous systems. The average person checks their phone about 150 times a day. That means every few minutes your mind is being pulled out of the present moment into a tiny glowing rectangle. Each notification is not just a sound. It is a demand for your attention, your focus, your energy. Over time, this fragments the mind. Psychologists have shown that multitasking, especially digital multitasking, reduces our ability to concentrate deeply and increases stress. When Noah scrolls, his brain isn't resting. It's spinning, endlessly processing bits and pieces of information it can never fully digest. This is why existing feels so hard. Our attention, the very foundation of our experience, is constantly under siege. Now add another layer, the economy. The cost of living has risen dramatically in many parts of the world. Housing, education, healthcare. For many people, these are no longer basic securities, but lifelong burdens. A study by the American Psychological Association found that money is the #1 source of stress for the majority of adults. Noah feels this too. He works hard, yet somehow it never feels enough. The finish line keeps moving. A bigger paycheck quickly disappears into bills. A promotion barely keeps pace with rising costs. And beyond the numbers, there is a deeper exhaustion. The sense that you are running, but not towards something meaningful, just away from scarcity. This is another reason existing feels heavy. Because when life becomes survival inside a system that demands more and more, rest begins to feel like guilt. And then there is meaning, or rather, the quiet disappearance of it. In past generations, people's lives were often structured around community, tradition, and clear cultural frameworks. These provided a sense of belonging and purpose, even in hardship. Today, much of that has dissolved. We are more free than ever, but with that freedom comes disorientation. Sociologists call this the crisis of meaning. It shows up when people have their material needs met, but still feel empty. When there is no shared story about what life is for, many retreat into smaller substitutes: career achievements, online recognition, fleeting pleasures. None of these are wrong, but none of them can carry the full weight of human longing. Noah feels this too. He has moments of joy, yes, but in the quiet hours, he wonders what it all adds up to, and that wondering turns into heaviness. So if the heaviness is systemic, what can anyone do? Here is where hope enters, because even though the world has grown complicated, the essence of being human has not changed. Beneath the noise, we are still wired for presence, connection, and meaning. Reclaiming these isn't easy, but it is possible. The first step is attention. Think of attention as your most valuable currency. What you give attention to shapes your entire inner world. Studies show that even brief moments of focused attention on nature, on a single breath, on a loved one's voice, can calm the nervous system and reduce stress. This isn't about abandoning technology entirely. It's about consciously choosing when and how you use it, instead of letting it use you. For Noah, this might mean silencing his phone during meals, or taking a short walk without earbuds, letting the mind settle. These small acts, repeated, remind the nervous system that it is not just a machine to be constantly activated, but a living thing allowed to rest. The second step is connection. Loneliness may be one of the greatest silent burdens of our age, but it is not inevitable. Connection doesn't require hundreds of friends or constant social activity. Often it is about depth, not breadth. One genuine conversation, one moment of eye contact, one shared silence can nurture the heart more than endless surface-level interactions. Research from Harvard's longest-running study on happiness shows a striking truth. The strongest predictor of life satisfaction isn't wealth or success, but the quality of our relationships. This means that reaching out, even awkwardly, even imperfectly, is not just nice, it is vital. For Noah, this might mean calling an old friend instead of scrolling, or saying yes to that small gathering, even when it feels easier to stay home, because connection, like attention, grows with practice. The third step is meaning. This may sound abstract, but meaning often reveals itself in small acts of alignment. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived the darkest conditions of human suffering, wrote that those who find a why to live can endure almost any how. Meaning doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It can be showing kindness to a stranger. It can be working on something creative after work hours. It can be investing time in something that doesn't make money, but makes you feel alive. For Noah, meaning might begin with asking, what do I want to contribute, even in a small way, to the world around me? This question does not have a final answer, but living inside it gives shape to existence. These steps, attention, connection, meaning, are not solutions to every burden, but they are anchors, and anchors matter because storms will always come. Existing in the modern world is hard because the pace is relentless, the demands are high, and the noise is endless. But existence also holds beauty that no system, no algorithm, no economy can erase. A sunrise still holds wonder. A child's laughter still melts heaviness. Music still reaches something timeless inside us. Noah may not wake up tomorrow feeling entirely free, but if he begins to reclaim his attention, to nurture one or two meaningful connections, and to live toward a purpose bigger than mere survival, then existing can slowly transform into living again. And maybe that is the deeper truth. The goal is not to make life easy. Life has never been easy. The goal is to make life meaningful enough that the weight becomes bearable. To create spaces in our days where existence feels less like survival and more like presence. So if you feel like Noah, if you wake up heavy and wonder why even existing feels hard, know this: you are not alone, you are not broken, and you are not powerless. The weight you feel is not a sign of weakness, but a reflection of a world that asks too much and offers too little clarity. But you are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to step out of the noise, even for a moment. You are allowed to choose presence over performance, connection over isolation, meaning over endless distraction. Because existing is not supposed to be easy, but it can still be beautiful. And in the end, maybe that's what we're here for. Not to escape the heaviness entirely, but to carry it with grace, to find the sparks of light in the middle of it, and to remind ourselves again and again that life, even when it feels unbearably heavy, is still worth living.